Good afternoon.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to Trail Talk. We are really glad you could join us again today.
Notice anything different?
Yeah, you guys are probably seeing us more clearly than ever before.
I can see clearly.
Right, we got new lights in our studio room, which we are pretty excited about.
Teachers
especially
geek out about
for-
things like that.
Yeah, especially for, I'm not 100% sure it's great for our recordings, but you know what? It's the content. That's why you're here, right?
Well, we
For
don't
the
model
content.
anymore anyway. We
Right,
teach.
yeah.
So,
We
you know,
kind of, we stepped
We
away
gave
from
that
our
up.
modeling careers to become teachers. So anyway, last week we learned a lot of cool information about our Oklahoma State flag.
a lot of flags have been
A
flown.
lot of flags, 14, remember that
Mhm.
number? This week, we're gonna talk about some more state symbols and emblems. And interestingly enough, since we went through all of these last time,
Mhm.
there were some new ones that were added.
A new addition.
And we're gonna talk about 3 of those today. And they're all animals. So I kind of grouped them like that. There was another one, but I'm gonna plug that one in somewhere else because it was not an animal. But anyway, we're gonna kick it off. The American Quarter Horse was named the Oklahoma State Horse. It was designated in 2022.
Mhm.
And
Derived from its ability to outrun other horse breeds in races of 1/4 mile or less.
So that's where the name quarter horse comes from, if you ever wondered. And it's also a quick and smart cow horse and is the most popular breed of horse in the United States today.
Can you
Why?
imagine a fast race quarter horse chasing after a herd of cows?
I know, but honestly, when
They get away from you like that.
the American Quarter Horse Association has a lot of like historical information
Mhm.
about the quarter
Mhm.
horse. And so I thought that it would be worth sharing because it takes it from its roots
Mhm.
to
It applies to this,
Oklahoma.
yes.
And so it really is kind of a cool thing to
Mhm.
follow. So this is what we're gonna be talking about today. So they kind of start off, I mean, they're trying to make it a little kind of literary.
way back.
Yeah. They make reference to Pegasus being able to fly, but what they're trying to do is paint a picture of what the American quarter horse could actually do.
Mhm.
And the original
This is cow.
Texas cow pony came from a line of horses
Like
that started
like his
with
papers?
one named Steel Dust. And with the American Quarter Horse Association, lineage,
Mhm.
I got the impression lineage was a very important
Like
thing.
ancestry for
Yes.
horses.
And so Steel Dust is kind of the original horse. He came to Texas in
Mhm.
1844. And as a matter of fact, Steel Dust, let me find that where that says that.
Legends. which
They,
one?
well, that's what, okay, the Steel Dust the name came to identify an entire breed of horse. They were called Steel Dusts with an S at the end, the cowboy's favorite kind.
Heavy muscled, marked with small ears, big jaw, remarkable intelligence and lightning speed up to a
And
quarter.
honestly, this picture's a little bit hard to see. It wasn't the best picture. I took this from the Oklahoma Historical Society website, but
That is a.
he does have a very large jaw. He does have small ears and you can
very
see the
defined
muscular
musculature.
body.
Mhm.
So the quarter horse first, well, it was first identified in the colonial days, where they would do horse races
Mhm.
for fun.
Right.
It was a pastime that a lot of people enjoyed doing. And they, so they had these
Went off
fast
work while they
horses,
jumped.
evidently horse racing, like that was a pastime in, Great Britain,
Mhm.
yeah,
Right.
England as
Something
well.
I
And
came
so,
over with them.
yeah, they enjoyed it there. They thought, hey, we're here, we're staying,
Mhm.
let's get some horses and race them.
That's
We
right.
like to do that. So these colonial farmers in the Carolinas and Virginia, which that's important to note where it's the southern, more southern, began to trade for a faster horse that was being bred by the Chickasaw Indians. Okay, so the Chickasaws were from that southeast part
Mhm.
of the United States.
Forte.
And those horses that the Chickasaws had were descendants of the Spanish barbs.
Mhm.
Now,
from.
And when we talked about, when we talk about or teach the diversity lesson here,
Right.
we show this video
Mhm.
and it kind of
Goes
goes
into that a little bit.
through the history of how the cowboy came
Developed
to,
Started using horses or.
yeah,
Shows that
and
as.
it all goes back to the 700s to when the Moors in
710.
the North African Barb, which is the Moorish people, invaded Spain. They had already been riding horses.
Mhm.
The Moors had,
Right.
and they brought those horses to Spain. The Spanish people then began riding horses to check on livestock and do things like that. Spain sails across the ocean and goes to what is now Mexico
Mhm.
and South America. And in Mexico, they bring these horses. The people there, the native people of Mexico, then come north into what is now
On
the
their
United
horses.
States
Mhm.
on their horses. The vaqueros, the Mexican cowboys, teach their ways that they've learned from the Spanish cowboys, and it
Develops and
perpetuates
goes and.
the American cowboy.
So you have it now.
And so if you know anything about cowboys, you know cowboys ride horses.
Oh, yeah.
And these
If you
horses.
don't ride a horse, you're not a cowboy.
Right, well, what is
Or you
it?
can claim to be, but you're not a.
There's one comment they make about that, about a man afoot is no man at all. And because the cowboy needed to have
Mhm.
a horse. So, that is how the idea of being a cowboy came. Well, these Spanish, or these horses came over and they were obtained by the Chickasaws. And then they were being bred with the, colonial horses. And so those quarter horses became faster than the original
Yeah.
horses. And so there was a stallion named the Godolphin Arabian, and he was brought
Called.
to England in 1728, and he is acknowledged as one of the three foundational sires of the thoroughbred. Again, we're talking about lineage,
Right,
horse lineage,
right.
how important it
Like,
plays
it's
into
like
the.
Arabian Night type stuff.
Yeah, well, probably, he was probably an Arabian horse,
Okay.
which is Africa,
Right,
North
over there,
Africa,
right.
over there. Then in 1752, John Randolph of Virginia imported a grandson of that horse, and his name was Janus, and he became like the foundation of
This area
most
is
of
The
the,
prototype.
right, yeah,
What they're
here.
calling it here.
They, and these, so the thoroughbreds, were popular, but they were not the strong horse that was needed to do the work of the
hard-
land.
Right, right.
And so
They were
when,
fast, short distance type
yes,
stuff.
so they are being bred with these Spanish Barb descendants,
Mhm.
that the Chickasaws had. And out of all of this comes this quarter horse. And, there was another great stallion, his name was Sir Archie, and Steel Dust is a descendant of Sir Archie. And so they bring Steel Dust to Texas, and then the next thing you know, I mean, these Spanish horses came with the likes of Coronado and, all those other
Well,
explorers.
it says that one of Sir Archie's sons was even the great Copper Bottom brought to Texas by Sam Houston
Yeah,
in
yes.
1830.
Yeah, Sam Houston, who
Mhm.
at one time was he was the president
Right.
of the Republic of Texas. But these horses, this hybrid that becomes the quarter horse, they not
Not done
only,
yet.
they were the workhorses that broke up the sod for the
Mhm,
sod houses. They were the ones that the buffalo hunters rode.
Transportation.
They were the remudas
Mhm.
in the cattle drives.
Right.
And so these horses, now you can see where we're getting to the Chisholm Trail, right?
You didn't think we'd get there, did you?
Exactly. The remuda, that was the extra horses that came along on every cattle drive. Every cowboy had multiple horses because of the length of the ride and the work that they did every day. And so now you've got these horses are the ones that became the cow horse and carried those cowboys
Mhm.
and herded those longhorns. And so after the Civil War, these horses played a huge role. Oh, yeah.
The Mustang last.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Mary just pointed something out, that I skipped over. So
Just look
you
at
have,
the last.
yeah, you have the thoroughbred,
Mhm.
you have the Spanish Barb, and then you have the Mustang, which,
Your final ingredient.
yeah, the Mustang is typically the feral horses, the horses that run wild, the horses that belong to the Native Americans.
Said they were the horses that made the Plains Indians into the toughest mounted warrior that the world had ever seen.
Right, the Comanche warriors, especially, the Comanche people were especially skilled horsemen.
Oh, yeah.
And they're
Bareback.
bareback, yes, and they rode these Mustangs.
Mhm.
If you study some Civil War and American Indian War,
Right. You'll see.
well,
Even.
the US Cavalry,
Mhm.
the US,
Right.
what is it? How do you say it?
Cavalry.
Cavalry. The US Cavalry would actually kill entire herds of Mustangs to disable the Native Americans from being able to escape, fight, whatever. So
It was a hit
these
zone.
horses were recognized for their abilities and how they were the main ingredient in the Native Americans securing
I think of
land.
Mustangs, I think of wild horses that are just out there roaming, running, no fence, no rules,
Yeah,
just, and they survive and they thrive.
Mhm.
Leave me alone, we'll come.
Over in Pauls Valley,
Mhm.
they have like a Mustang, a wild Mustang, kind of a place for them to stay, a place
a
for them to
refuge or
live.
something?
Yeah, yeah. You can go over and drive by and see all these Mustangs. I mean, it's kind of cool. It really is.
That's your own risk.
Yeah, don't climb the fence. Anyway, so these hybrid animals became the means for the success of the cattle drives.
Right.
And then once these big ranchers spread and established, they did all their work on horseback.
Oh, yeah.
Cowboys worked on
Kind of like a
horseback.
tractor of modern day.
Exactly. And so you have the quarter horse, and that's how it came to be a part of Oklahoma's state symbols. It's because of the significant role it played in the settling
As our statehood.
of our state.
Mhm.
Okay, the next animal, also a horse, is called the Oklahoma Colonial Spanish horse. This is our state's heritage horse. Okay, and
Is that a paint? Is that they call paint as well? Or is it
that's
different?
what, yeah, that's what the coloration would
word
be.
for it.
So these horses, you're probably catching on, these were the horse or descendants of the actual Spanish conquistador. This is the one that has, they were brought over by Cortez.
Spanish genetic markers considered purest free roaming colonial Spanish horse in the United States.
Right, and
Here it
that's that marker, the Spanish genetic markers. In order to be considered a colonial Spanish horse, it has to meet those requirements. Again, lineage is everything as far as these animals go. And there's a conservation effort because of the low number of these 100% with 100% genetic markers still in existence. Yeah. So these animals, they said that the history that I found said that horses roamed the Americas for millions of years, and then for some reason they didn't. They weren't here. And then like the history of the horses coming over to this part of the world through the Spanish is, you know, we talked about that earlier with the quarter horses. But it says that beginning mid to late 1800s, almost all Spanish horses were crossbred with or replaced by larger animals, including thoroughbreds.
Yep.
The
didn't know what they were doing back then, did
yeah,
they?
the pure Spanish horse in North America was almost extinct by 1950. Only a few herds existed in the Southeast and the Southwest. And they were owned by traditional ranchers, probably traditional Spanish horse ranchers and Native Americans.
Serve that lineage.
Yes, exactly. So then some conservation efforts began to be made, and these programs have helped to secure that bloodline. But this horse population includes distinct strains, which would be traced by, the sire and the mare.
Mom and dad. type
Right,
thing.
yeah. Or they'd be considered part of a larger single breed or several smaller closely related breeds. Given the overall consistency, many
Kinda
horses
have
are
to.
registered on multiple registries, yeah. So here's the thing, it's important to note that in North America, these animals were sometimes called Spanish Mustangs, but the people interested in keeping the bloodline pure don't
Mhm.
like that because of what we were just talking about.
The association.
Mustangs are considered feral animals, that wild roaming, and
Right.
these are not, that people
That's
who
kind of
are
like a
protecting
higher
this.
ranking or more established, well-to-do type.
Right, yes, they're wanting to keep this pure,
Mhm.
the idea about this animal pure, not just the fact that it is. Many horses of these horses have never had a feral background, and so they don't want to confuse that name Mustang, use that
Kind of
more.
muddy the water.
Yes, exactly. But these horses are known by regional names, including Spanish Mustang, Spanish Barb, or their strain name, one of which is Choctaw. So the Choctaws being some of the Native Americans
Right.
who owned these horses.
Right.
They are part of the pure bloodline. So they talk about how regardless of the name, there are common features, just
Mhm.
like with the quarter horse.
Right.
And it went through a whole list of features.
Yeah.
You can see that this horse's body seems to be smaller and less muscular
That one looked more like a
compared to
young
the.
child's.
But this could also be, some of the ponies that Native Americans,
Bred to be smaller.
well, they rode these because of, they didn't have saddles. They're not gonna be jumping on the back of a,
They weren't just.
Yeah, exactly. So they needed something they could mount quickly, that could,
Warfare.
and could handle different
Mhm.
terrains, and an animal built like this would probably be able to do that. But it talks about the colors.
Yes.
So I thought it was great whenever you mentioned the
Yes.
paint, because they can be
Blankets and leopards.
every single color, even the
Mhm.
Appaloosas,
Yes.
the ones with the spotted.
Buckskin,
back
chestnut,
ends.
red, palomino,
Yeah.
green, gray.
Spanish genetics is the source of the color in the paint,
Mhm.
which is what we would call this.
Right.
The Pinto and the Appaloosa, the Pony of the Americas, the Palomino, and other breeds. So, that is the proof that these horses were bred with other
Almost like
horses.
royalty.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah.
Including, I'm going to say, the quarter horse.
Oh, I'm sure.
This is the Spanish Barb that was
Yeah.
bred with.
Contributions to the American gauge breeds and the American quarter horse.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is one of the horses that was bred with the
Mhm.
thoroughbreds,
Mhm.
and then
Just
the
for-
Mustang was
right.
added,
For population, not for lineage concern.
yeah, for speed
Mhm. Yeah.
and strength.
Yeah.
This brought one of those
Make them bigger and better.
qualities, yeah.
faster.
But they continue even today to try to preserve the lineage, and so I thought this was a really cool, really interesting thing about these
These
horses.
two, they can run fast, but they also have endurance. They're pleasure riding. They have long strides. They're good for anything. Small around horse. So you can
Yeah.
take it in battle, you can cruise on home.
They
Take a
mixed
stroll
with
on.
those British thoroughbreds and brought them, they made them more like the Americans, right? The colonists,
Tobacco
they
spitting,
were,
whiskey drinking.
yeah. What did they, the Patriots that fought in
The Red Coats. what they
yeah,
called them there
yeah.
earlier.
The ones who were the Patriots who were
Mhm.
fighting for they were fighting against England.
Mhm.
They were breeding these horses to create something that was more like them
Right.
and less of the polished,
Yeah.
kind of British
Mhm.
kind of thing.
High
I'm
society
guessing.
type.
Yeah. Okay. Super cool stuff about horses, I thought. And then
Aw.
next, our state pet is rescue animals.
He's so cute.
He is
He left his
cute.
mouth open.
And I think this might be a picture of Representative Mark McBride's Catahoula mixed
Your
dog.
bracelets like that?
I don't know, maybe, but this does look like a Catahoula
That's nice. Leather
body
couch.
with some other.
Mhm.
This dog's name is Callie, and Callie was a rescue dog and the inspiration to make our state pet rescue animals.
Rescues are the best.
They are. So, I thought, okay, so what is a rescue animal? What is that
Well, my
designation
niece and
really
nephew
mean?
have a dog and they call him Hank the Rescue Dog.
Oh, because
So he's classified. I don't know if it's been, filed.
so
and
he's
whatnot.
an official
He's-
rescue
I think he was the
animal.
original, yeah.
Okay, well,
He's
there you
also about
go.
125 years old.
Yeah.
He's still kicking it.
So,
Shout out to Hank out there.
turns out, and you may be aware of this already,
But
but
they're from
there
a bad situation. Rescue dog.
possibly, so there are shelters and there are rescues.
Okay.
They're two different things. So shelters are, they're more like,
Keep him as long as we can.
well, like when the city picks up dogs,
Like the,
that's the
dog
shelter.
pound.
That's kind of what the shelter refers
Okay.
to, because they're usually funded by government money. They have a limit on how many animals they can have and what they can do. And even if you have a no-kill shelter, what that really means is they don't euthanize animals in large numbers. And it usually has to do with whether or not with the health or the personality or the
Traits of
traits
the
of the dog. If the dog is super aggressive,
Mhm.
that dog
Endangering others that are there.
may be euthanized. If the dog is
Mhm.
very sick, that dog may be euthanized. Not generally for population, even though sometimes that has to be the case as
Right.
well.
Right.
So just FYI about the no-kill shelter thing. But stray dogs, abandoned dogs, abusive situations,
Puppy mills. I'm
yeah,
sure.
those are the kinds of things that, when you call your local police or somebody like that.
Mhm.
Okay, an animal rescue would be more like the Humane Society.
They're
They don't-
administering medical care or
Their dogs are usually, spayed or neutered.
taking like a
They're
nursing home.
They're
for
given,
people,
yeah,
for
they're
dogs.
vetted for the possibility of being adopted.
They've been kind of background checked or
Well, they
They're
spend
safe
time with them.
for humans and
Mhm.
they're safe and
Yeah, a rescue will spend time with the animals. They'll
they're not
provide
aggressive.
medical care for the animals. They will spay or neuter. They will, and a lot of times there's a foster
I was gonna say,
program.
usually there's a period where they have to kind of be tested out. or
Mhm,
tried with
yeah, and so our Humane Society, we have foster
Mhm.
homes.
Mhm.
They have takeout Tuesdays where you can come and get an animal and spend time
Check
with
'em
it.
out.
And
You can
and
read, they have a reading program too.
yes, they do. And that gives feedback on the animal to make a family who might adopt that animal feel more
Right,
informed.
and getting them out there, because
True.
you don't know what kind of animals are in that shelter out there.
Right. So, we kind of went over some of the differences. Funding is one of the main differences, which would, the source of your funding would dictate some of the things you can and cannot do.
Correct. You can't save them all,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's why I don't go and adopt or
Yeah.
foster because I would
Right.
have it.
Yeah, that would be
Mhm.
hard. But kind of finding the right pet for you is one of the things that's really important. And
Like
so,
Match.com.
yeah, exactly. So Kelly Nelson does a lot of things with the Stevens County Humane Society. I know I'm pretty sure she's on the board. And she has been for a long time. She's always involved with the fundraising efforts. She's just a real friend of the Humane Society. And so I reached out to Kelly and asked her for some information, the most recent information available about the Stevens County Humane Society, because I thought this would be an ideal
Our
time,
local and.
yes, to give them a shout out
Mhm.
and to kind of let you see some of the things that they are able to do. So, their most recent information is from 2022 because 23
COVID.
just ended and they haven't had a chance to, get all that, all of those numbers together, but they took in 1,230 animals, and it was almost even cats and dogs, 594 cats, 636 dogs.
I mean, that is a day, just in that year.
Wow, that's
a
like
lot. Yes.
about 4 animals a day.
Yes.
That's taking in.
Uh-huh.
They spayed and neutered 886 animals. So that's one thing that money
Mhm.
goes toward if you want to, if you're looking for a place to,
Donations.
give, or you want to support a worthy
Mhm.
organization, Stevens County Humane Society. They assisted the community 586 times by providing dog or cat food through their pet pantry. You can make donations of dog and
Toys,
cat
everything
food.
out there.
They, on average, 102 animals entered the shelter each month, which is about 4 a day.
Yep.
And they celebrated 872 adoptions. So that means there were about 400, well,
Mhm.
about 350 animals that came in that
Mhm.
never left.
Right. Do they
Uh,
transfer? I wonder.
There are times whenever they
Well,
have done that. I
Take
have
them to other
seen.
shelters or whatnot.
Yeah. 47 lost animals were reunited with their owners. Yeah, so I guess they're down to about 300.
Those chips
that
that
they
they
took in.
tremendously.
254 animals were transferred to rescue partners in 4 states.
Dang.
Yeah, so there you go. That's
I've
the
been
answer to
rescued
your
in
question.
other states.
Yeah, so that's down to about 50 animals, you know, that they would have brought in that they, and you can spay and neuter surgery discount coupons are distributed through Petco Love Grant, and they gave out 343 of
I
those.
think they do a limited number or something.
Yeah.
Release every month or week.
Over 3,600 volunteer hours were logged in 2022. 714 MLK Avenue, phone number. Yes, I think they did. So I'm just telling you, the Stevens County Humane Society, they do great work. They help a lot of people. We adopted a dog from there, ages ago, like 2005 or something. And, a beagle. She was a purebred beagle, and she was our daughter's pet. And, she lived with us for like, I don't
Longer than
know,
Abby.
probably 12, 15 years. I can't remember right
Kind of like
offhand.
going to Goodwill. You never know. You
Yeah,
gotta find
exactly.
a hidden gem or
It was great. And,
they just want to be loved.
they do. I mean, they're just, if you have a pet, if you're thinking about a pet, if you want to just help and be a foster parent to a pet. I've seen a lot of times where people adopt senior animals who've had to go to a shelter or a rescue because their owner cannot take care of them.
They might be in the
anymore.
same condition as the animal, or
Yeah.
the animal's just too much for them anymore.
Yeah,
Or
so
financially.
Where they move into a
Mhm.
home and
It's
they
not
can't take
accepted.
their animal with them. There are so many reasons why people have to give up their animals.
They put
And-
a smile on your face, go down there and put.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly. And if you can't do that, buy a bag of dog food. Take your kids.
Toys, collars, brushes,
Right.
anything.
Give your kids an opportunity to do something, for.
You might preface by saying we're
place
not
in the
coming home
community.
with 10 dogs.
That is true. Yeah, if you have one of those kinds.
Mom
of
and dad
kids,
suddenly developed an allergy.
that might be, yeah, you don't want that. Anyway, so that concludes our lesson for
She said
today.
happy tails.
I should have said happy
You can
tails.
say it.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching today. I hope you guys learned some stuff. I was really, I thought it was such great information, and I loved finding that.
20
new
minutes.
stuff.
We packed a lot of information in there.
We sure did. Wow. Yeah. So, thanks for watching. Tomorrow, Trail Talk is going to be at 1 o'clock instead of 3.
1 p.m.
And Eve Cornejo, our current featured artist, is going to be our special guest, and you're going to get to hear from her and see some of the pieces that she has here
Beautiful artwork.
available for purchase.
That's right. You better hurry those. I heard she's already sold some.
Oh, yeah, you better get down here. So, anyway, please join us tomorrow, and instead of happy trails, we're gonna say happy tails
And then I'm
today.
gonna jump behind the computer.
Yeah, so we'll see you tomorrow.
Happy tails.
Tails.